Hello there and welcome. We've got a really important discussion for you today, brought to you by the experts over at My Tax Accountant. We're diving into HMRC's new lifestyle audit powers. And look, this isn't just something for the super rich anymore. This could affect you if you're a freelancer, a small business owner, or, well, pretty much anyone with a side hustle. So we're going to break down exactly what's going on, why it's a huge deal, and most importantly, how you can make sure you're protected. Let's get right into it.
Right, let's kick things off with a question that might sound a little bit crazy, but is now, believe it or not, completely relevant. Could that holiday photo you just posted online actually kickstart a tax investigation from HMRC? The short answer is a resounding yes. You see, in the world we live in now, our online lives and our financial lives are becoming one and the same, and HMRC is watching very, very closely.
To really get our heads around how serious this is, we need to look at a real-life case study that basically set the precedent for all of this. It all centers around what we're calling the $1.5 million question, and it's a perfect example of the powerful new tools the UK authorities have at their disposal.
£1.5 million. Now, this number isn't just a random figure. It's the value of a property that became the focus of the UK's very first successful Unexplained Wealth Order, or UWO, issued by the Serious Fraud Office. This was an absolute game changer in how financial crime is tackled here in the UK.
You see, this case flipped the script entirely. Back in January 2025, a woman named Claire Schools was hit with this order. She was told, in no uncertain terms, to prove exactly how she paid for this home. The burden of proof was suddenly on her. It was no longer the authorities' job to prove the money was dirty. It was her job to prove it was clean. A massive shift.
So what on earth is an unexplained wealth order? Well, think of it like this. If you're living a lifestyle that just doesn't add up to your known legal income, a UOW forces you to show your receipts, to explain where all that wealth came from. And if you can't, or if you won't, the authorities can then make a move to seize those assets. In short, your own wealth can literally become the evidence used against you.
Now, while those UWOs are typically used by agencies like the Serious Fraud Office, HMRC has its own version of a digital detective. And for the average person, it's probably even more powerful and far-reaching. It's a massive supercomputer system, and it's called Connect.
And hey, don't just take my word for how powerful this thing is. This is how HMRC themselves describe it. It's a tool specifically designed to hoover up billions of bits of data and weave them together to create this incredibly detailed financial picture of every single taxpayer. The scale of it is just, wow, it's hard to even imagine. So how does it build that picture of you? Well, Connect is pulling in data from just about everywhere you can think of. We're talking bank accounts, both here in the UK and overseas, land registry records, your sales on platforms like eBay or Etsy. It's looking at your pension records, your council tax band, even your flight data. It cross-references all of this, looking for any little piece that doesn't fit. But that's not all. Here's where most people really underestimate its power.
Okay, here's a little pro tip that'll really make this hit home. Remember that first question about your holiday photos? Well, this is exactly how it happens. Connect has algorithms that can actually scan your social media. So if you're declaring a fairly normal income, but you're posting pictures with a brand new luxury watch, or next to a supercar, or on a first-class flight, the system flags it. It raises a red flag for a human at HMRC to take a closer look.
Let's make this even more real. Picture a freelancer based in London. On their tax return, they declare a perfectly reasonable £45,000 a year. But what does Connect see? It sees the Instagram feed full of pictures from that fancy trip to Dubai. It sees the money coming in from their little Etsy shop where they sell art. And this is the kicker. It sees bank deposits from a second client that they never declared. Each piece on its own might not seem like a big deal, but when Connect puts it all together, it paints a very different picture.
So you're probably thinking, why the big push now? Why all this investment in tech and people? Well, the motive behind this entire crackdown boils down to one absolutely massive number.
£39.8 billion. That is the UK's estimated tax gap. It's a gigantic hole between the amount of tax HMRC should be collecting and what it actually gets. You can bet that closing that gap is a huge, huge priority for the government right now.
And this just goes to show you how serious they are. They're pouring £1.6 billion into this, specifically to fund compliance. And they're hiring 5,000 new compliance officers whose job it is to sift through all the data that Connect finds. Stay with me. This proves it's not just a passing phase. It's a fundamental change in how tax is going to be enforced from now on.
Okay, so we've laid it all out. The threat is definitely real. The technology is incredibly powerful.
But listen, the point of this isn't to scare you, it's to prepare you. So let's switch gears from the problem to the solution. Let's talk about the proactive steps you can take to make sure you're totally compliant and you have absolutely nothing to worry about.
The single most important takeaway here is that good financial housekeeping is no longer just a nice-to-have, it's essential. This means keeping spotless records, disclosing every single source of income, yep, even that little side gig, and just being smart about the fact that your digital life is an open book. If you do spot a mistake, the absolute key is to jump on it and fix it fast. And whatever you do, please, never ignore a letter from HMRC.
And here's a little did you know for you, and it's a big one. If you find you need to come forward and sort out your tax affairs, the clock starts ticking, and it ticks fast. From the moment you tell HMRC you need to make a disclosure, you've generally got just 90 days to get everything calculated, figure out the tax, interest, penalties, the whole shebang, and get it submitted. 90 days is not a lot of time.
So, if you're watching this and maybe your heart's beating a little bit faster, what do? First of all, don't panic. There's a proper process for this. Step 1 is to just get all your ducks in a row. Gather up all your financial paperwork. Then, you need to officially notify HMRC, which you can usually do through their digital disclosure service online. But honestly, the most crucial step, especially with that tight 90-day deadline, is to get professional advice. An expert can guide you through the maze and make sure everything is done right.
And that brings us perfectly to our final section. In this new era of digital snooping and beefed-up enforcement, I get it. It can feel a bit overwhelming. But I promise you, with the right guide in your corner, you can face it all with confidence.
If you take just one thing away from our discussion today, please let it be this. With these new powers and this incredible technology, complete financial transparency is no longer optional, it's mandatory. The days of thinking, what HMRC doesn't know won't hurt me, those days are long gone.
So, what should you do next? Well, the advice from the experts at My Tax Accountant is crystal clear. Be proactive. Don't sit around and wait for that dreaded brown envelope to land on your doormat. If you have even the slightest doubt about your tax situation, book a consultation. Just talking to an expert can clear things up and help you get on the right path to achieving real peace of mind, knowing that you're 100% compliant for the 2025/26 tax year and beyond.
If you need that professional, totally confidential advice on any of this, lifestyle audits, making a disclosure, or any other tax questions you've got, you can get in touch with the team at My Tax Accountant directly. The number to call is 0208-570-8531. Or you can email them at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. They really are there to help.
Now I have to make one thing absolutely clear. The information we've gone through today is for general guidance, to give you a better understanding of what's going on. It is not, and should not be seen as, a substitute for professional advice that's tailored to you and your unique situation. So before you make any big financial decisions, you absolutely must speak with a qualified expert, like the fantastic team at My Tax Accountant.
And we'll leave you with a final little question to think about. We've spent all this time talking about undeclared income, but have you ever considered the flip side? Could you actually be paying too much tax without even realizing it? For more insights on that and plenty of other vital tax tips, make sure you hit subscribe on the My Tax Accountant channel. Thanks so much for your time today.